So in the book The Joy of Poker, I wrote in chapter 6, there's a story. One of my favorite stories ever comes from the legendary Seinfeld sitcom, where the character George Costanza, he's very unhappy with everything in his life. He has this epiphany. He says, everything I've ever done in my life has been wrong. I'm just going to start doing the opposite of my first instinct. And so immediately the rest of his life starts getting better, because the first woman he sees, instead of shying away from her, he's very attracted. He goes up to her and he says, "Hi, my name is George. I'm unemployed and I live with my parents." And she, of course, loves it. They start dating. She gets him a job interview with the New York Yankees. He goes into the interview and yells at the owner of the New York Yankees, and the owner loves it. And so his whole life changes, because instead of doing the first thing that he thinks of, he does the opposite. So it's obviously it's fiction, but like they say, life imitates art, and there is something real in this. And one thing that I want to talk about here today is, what is the opposite of what you normally believe when you see something that you think is wrong. And I get a lot of people coming to me. Saying stuff like, I wish that when I'm at the poker table, I would stop being on my phone. I just need to stop being on my phone. Or I need to stop eating the junk food. I hate that I eat the junk food. I hate that I scroll on Instagram all the time. And I gotta fix this. Help me fix this. And the first thing that you gotta fix, though, the first thing that you gotta understand is that the phone is not the problem. The distraction is not a problem. The part where you eat the junk food, not the problem. The part where you make a horrible play and punt your money, that's not the problem that you have to fix. Because if you do that, you're always just fixing the last part of the chain. See, you using the phone is the symptom, not the problem. The phone is just the last thing that happens after you've been living through this problem for a very long time. The real problem, in case you haven't figured it out from watching any of my stuff yet, the real problem is that poker and all of life in general is just a series of one event after another in which your emotions get riled up and triggered, and you get agitated, and you start to feel things that you prefer not to feel. But you don't get to control that. You only get to control whether or not you're able to stay present and really be with those feelings. Now, I can basically show you how to trace every single thing in your life that you categorize as a problem right now. I could show you exactly where the problem starts, which is at some point there is some emotion, some feeling, some thought, some experience you are having that you are not being honest with yourself about and you are not accepting. And because of that, you will always eventually revert to the behavior that you deem the problem. And if you're like most people, what you're going to end up doing is either on your own trying to fix the problem. So if your phone is something that always bugs you, you're going to put your phone in the car before you go play poker. Or you're going to get rid of your phone and get a phone that doesn't have internet on it or something like that. Or if junk food is the problem, you'll say, "Oh, I'm going on a new program, I'm doing the hard 75, no processed foods for 75 days. And I'm going to post everything publicly to make sure that I stay accountable." But all of that is just hiding from the real problem. You got here in a certain way, and the only way out is to change what happened at the beginning. Otherwise, you're going to play out these problems again and again and again. So everybody, like I said, wants to attack the perceived problem at the point of what you see. I see myself on the phone too much. Okay, let's deal with that. And let's put into process things that are going to make it harder for me to use my phone, blah, blah, blah. Well, how about you start by accepting the idea that sometimes I'm going to drift off course and catch myself having been scrolling on my phone for a while, because I'm a human being and I have a phone. I want to have a phone. And so sometimes I'm going to look up and realize, oh, look at that. I've been on my phone for 12 minutes or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or, oh, look at that. I've been watching this show for a very long time. I'm on my fourth episode. I only meant to watch one. Okay. So let's assume that you can't do anything up until that moment. Up until that moment, the first 10 minutes that you're on your phone, it all happened mindlessly, and you don't control that. Well, what you do control is, what are you going to do once you notice that happened? What are you going to do in the first recognition of, oh, wow, I've been on my phone and I'm just kind of like mindlessly scrolling? What are you going to do there? Because that's the point where you actually have control. That's the point where you can actually do something to improve your experience. That's the point where you can actually start to change things and get back on course and perform at a high level. But sadly, this is the point where nobody does anything. Everybody wants to go back and see preemptively fix. Like, how can I make sure I never pick it up in the first place? That's not a thing, because if you don't pick up the phone, you're going to pick something else up, or you're going to do something else to avoid having the feeling that you're having. It's not about the phone, man. It's about, what do you do in the moment that you notice, oh, I've been checked out. Are you going to, and this is what most people do, are you going to beat up on yourself? Tell yourself, oh, I'm such a loser. I'm such an idiot. Oh, I can't believe I did it again. When am I going to stop doing this? Or, oh, let's make a plan to make sure I never do that again. Most people fall into one of those two categories. Either blame yourself and criticize yourself and endlessly replay and harp on what you did, or try and make a plan to make sure it doesn't happen again. There's very little to no attention actually given to, okay, what am I going to do now in this moment to start feeling how I want to feel? There's no recognition that the reason why I got on the phone and distracted myself and stopped paying attention to the game is because something happened that brought about some kind of experience that made me uncomfortable and I didn't want to be with it. Okay, so we start there with, okay, and what am I feeling right now? And can I be present with that? And all of a sudden, if you know how to do this, all of a sudden here we are going back again, and it's fine. And the more often you're able to do this, where you drift off course and you just come back to it and you're feeling good again, well, then you gain real confidence in yourself. You gain real understanding that it doesn't matter how many times I fall down, how many times I slip up, how many times I drift off course. I know how to bring myself back always. And if you can always bring yourself back quickly without having to go through the whole cycle of beating up on yourself and then doing it more, and it's like, oh, okay, I had one candy bar, I might as well have 20, and making yourself go to rock bottom every single time. Imagine how much time you're going to save. Imagine how much pain and frustration you save when you can change your relationship with these behaviors from, oh, I messed up and I'm going to beat up on myself and now I'm just going to like let it snowball, to, oh, look at that, I messed up, it's no big deal. How do I feel now? And let's get back to it. See, those are two very different trajectories you go on. And if you look at people who are very high performers, who are consistently able to keep posting result, you'll probably find that in general, they tend to have the ability to not get bogged down in beating up on themselves and criticizing and overanalyzing what happened, and instead just continue going. So this aspect of being able to stay present in the moment when you recognize things are not how you want them to be, that's what gets you going in the right direction again. And so you start wasting your time blaming yourself for what happened and then making a plan for how you can prevent it next time. You're either in the past or you're in the future. You're not here in the present moment. And yet that is the one thing that's going to get you on the course that you want to go on. One of the best metaphors I ever heard was how an airplane starting out in, say, New York City, flying to Los Angeles, is never on a direct straight line from New York City to Los Angeles the entire time. No, it's basically, if you snapshot it in any moment in time, it's always not headed to the airport runway until the very end. But what it does throughout is the machine will sense, oh, we're a little too off course, and then correct, a little too off course and correct, a little too off course and correct. No big deal. The plane isn't like, oh, I screwed up, and then doing a bunch of stuff to make it worse. Well, no, the plane just keeps correcting back. Okay, a little bit too much this way, we're gonna go this way. So I suggest you take that approach for yourself the next time you notice that you're not doing the things that you said you were going to do. You're not performing at the level that you want. You're not feeling how you want. You're doing stuff you don't like. Well, it's not the thing you're doing. That's not your problem. It's very easy to start winning more right away without even changing the behavior. You could be on your phone just as much or more. But if you just save the time and the blame and the criticism and all the extra piling on you do the moment you notice it, I guarantee you would overall perform better and win more. So that could be your, you can say, oh yeah, Jason made a video saying you could be on your phone more and win more money if you want to, take me out of context. But it really is true. If you change your relationship to what do you do in the moment you notice you're not feeling how you want to feel, that you're not doing what you want to be doing, are you going to be the time waster and the person who piles on? Or are you going to be the time saver, the person who is able to have it not be a big deal and to just recognize, oh, this is not the problem. This is the symptom. And then go and address the root cause. Become present with all your feelings in the moment right now. And watch what happens. All right, so this is big stuff. And not everybody is able to do this. Most people can't do this, because most people don't have an actual process to be able to get present in that moment. Now, if you want to practice that, to learn that, to be able to do that at a really high level, it will make you in the top 1% of poker performers out there. I wrote about all of it in chapter 5 of The Joy of Poker. So I highly recommend check that out. And also check out the bonus exercises, audio exercises that I left for everyone who bought that book and read the book. There's a link inside in the front page in the table of contents, right before the table of contents, that will get you access to guided audio exercises that will take you to that level of presence with any emotion. So highly recommend you check out both of those things and put this practice into your life, because if you don't, you'll always be chasing the wrong thing. You'll always be trying to fix the problem that isn't the problem and ignoring the thing that actually caused the thing that you don't like. So stop doing that. Let's get to it and go get that money.